Dynamic NAT. In this video, I'm going to talk about dynamic NAT. Dynamic NAT is a one type of NAT. We can use it. First, we should understand the concept of the dynamic NAT, and after that, we can configure the dynamic NAT. You know that in a static NAT, every private IP should map to same number of public IP. For example, if you have 100 private IP address, you need 100 public IP address. Okay, assume that, for example, I reserve this private IP for this private IP 192.168.110. Okay, one public IP, for example 10010. Okay, if the 192.168.110 PC now is shut down, okay, is turned off, okay, the other PC, for example VPC2, can't use this IP because this public IP only reserved for the 192.168.110, and this is not good. This is not efficient. You can define with dynamic NAT, you can define a pool of IP, of public IP v4 addresses. Let me to show you. In dynamic NAT, we are configuring a NAT pool. Okay, this is a pool of public IPv4 address. For example, in a pool you can use one or more public IP address. I'm using one public IP address, 10010. Okay, and also we have two private IP, and I know that only one of this private IP in the hours of a day is, for example, on, and other system, when, for example, another system is turned on, other system is turned off. Okay, is off, and because of that, I can use this NAT pool to assign this one public IP to one of VPC1 or VPC2. Assume that we have two VPC with these two private address, 192.168.110 and also 192.168.111. And now in this hour, in this time, only the VPC1 is enabled and the VPC2 is disabled. And because of that, because NAT pool is not reserved for only, for example, VPC2 or VPC1, VPC1 can send the traffic with the, can use the 10010, okay, in NAT. And after some hours, for example, assume that the VPC1 192.168.110 now is off and other system is on. Now this system, the second system, can use the public IP address. This means that the public IP address is not reserved for a system. It is a pool. Every system can use this pool, and this is a for example, tool to reducing the usage of the IPv4 address. It's so easy. First, we should define a pool, and after that, we can use the pool. But before configuring this type of NAT, let me to show you one example about how we can use the dynamic NAT. Let me to show you. This is our scenario. For example, we have a router R1. Okay, this is the NAT device, and should forward the traffic after NAT. Also, we define a pool, a NAT pool in the R1, and in NAT pool, the only one IP and one public IP address is available, 10010, for example. Now, a traffic received from the PC1 with the source IP of 192.168.110 to a destination IP. Destination IP is not important for us. The IP means destination IP. The traffic receives in R1, and R1 should translate the source IP. Again, R1 should translate the source IP, same as the static NAT, but in this time we didn't reserve the, for example, 10010 to this system. Because of that, R1 can choose one public IP from the pool. Now only one public IP is available, and use for changing the source IP of the packet again, 10010. Okay, then the packet can be sent to the outside, and when the packet receives to destination should answer the source. Okay, you know that the packet should respond back with the destination IP of the, for example, 10010. R1, how can understand that which packet, which private IP should be used for this packet, okay? Because you know that we didn't reserve the public IP for any private IP. Because of that, R1 doesn't know this, and when the packet sent to the outside with after the translation, and when the packet received in R1 in response back, R1 should know to which private IP address the destination should be translated. Because of that, when the packet goes to the outside and translated in R1, the R1 automatically create a map, okay? Create a map. This is a dynamic map, okay? And in this map, R1 can save this information. I change the inside local IP address of the 192.168.110 to the inside global, means the IP address of the packet of the inside of the network at the outside, okay, to the for example 10010. And when the packet receives to R1, R1 knows that this packet received from the outside with the destination of 10010 should be translated again to the, for example, 192.168.110. R1 need to this table. In the, for example, a static NAT, we should create this table, and in dynamic NAT, R1 automatically, when translating the packet, creates this table. I will show you this table. And the next thing is that how we can configure the dynamic NAT. Okay, dynamic NAT configuration. Don't forget, dynamic NAT is a tool for reducing the IP address usage, public IPv4 address usage. How we can configure it? The first part of configuration is same as the static NAT. You should first define the inside and outside interfaces, okay? IP with IP NAT inside and also IP NAT outside. This is the first part. The second part is that you should configure one ACL, okay? Because you need an ACL to classify which packet can be matched. For example, if you want to all packet can be NAT, to all packet can be NATed from the source to destination, you can use this ACL, access list 1 any. But maybe you need to classify only some type of packets that can be NATed. This is a security tool. This is a classifier for the NAT, because you should define which system can use the pool's IP address. And also you need to configure a pool of public IPv4 address. You should use a pool, and pool can have one public IP or more than one public IP. With this command, it's so easy. Router config IP NAT pool, then pool name, okay, in a start IP, and then end IP, and after that net mask, for example mask. And then you should configure the NAT command. How? So easy. Look at here, router config IP NAT. From the inside, the source IP should be NATed with the dynamic method. We don't configure here a static. You should use list ACL, because we should define which IP addresses can be used, the IP address of the pool, which system can use the IP address inside of the pool. With the list ACL, you can classify the systems, and then use the pool, then the name of the pool name. This means that please translate the source IP of the packet that receives from the inside of our network that is matched with the ACL, this ACL, and use the public IP reside in the pool. Okay, let me to show you how we can configure it. This scenario is configured before, because this is the same as the previous video. For example, now VPC1 can send traffic to its gateway, ping 192.168.1.1. VPC1 can send traffic to the R1, but VPC1 can't reach to the 20010, the IP address of the server. Okay,